The pharaoh who erased himself from history. Akhenaten. What if I told you that one of ancient Egypt's most powerful pharaohs deliberately tried to delete himself from existence? Not through suicide or abdication, but through the most audacious act of historical vandalism ever attempted: the complete dismantling of a 3,000-year-old religious system that had made Egypt the greatest civilization on earth. His name was Akhenaten, and for 17 years he waged war against the gods themselves. Akhenaten stands as one of ancient Egypt's most enigmatic pharaohs, remembered for his radical departure from tradition. He abandoned the worship of Egypt's many gods, elevating the sun disk, Aten, as the sole deity. Akhenaten moved the capital to a new city, Akhenaten, and transformed art and culture. Yet after his death, his successors erased his legacy, restoring the old gods and dismantling his monuments. Akhenaten's bold experiment was nearly lost, only pieced together centuries later by archaeologists. Born Amenhotep IV around 1353 BCE, he inherited an empire that stretched from Nubia to the Euphrates. Egypt was at its zenith, wealthy beyond measure, feared by enemies, and blessed by a pantheon of gods who had guided the kingdom for millennia. Yet within 4 years of taking the throne, this pharaoh did the unthinkable. He declared every god in Egypt a lie. In their place, he installed a single deity, the Aten, represented by a simple sun disk whose rays ended in tiny hands. To honor this god, he abandoned Memphis and Thebes, the sacred capitals of his ancestors, and built an entirely new city in the middle of the desert. He called it Akhenaten, Horizon of the Aten, and filled it with revolutionary art that showed him not as a divine god-king, but as a mortal man with an elongated skull, feminine hips, and a pot belly. But here's where the story becomes truly chilling. Akhenaten didn't just change Egypt's religion, he systematically erased the old one. His agents smashed into temples across the kingdom, chiseling out the names of ancient gods from hieroglyphs, defacing sacred images, and melting down golden statues that had been worshipped for centuries. The name of Amun, king of the gods, was hacked from monuments with such fury that chisel marks still scar the stone today. The Egyptian people watched in horror as their spiritual world collapsed. Priests who had served the temples for generations found themselves unemployed. Festivals that had marked the rhythm of Egyptian life for millennia simply stopped. Foreign enemies, sensing weakness, began attacking Egypt's borders while the pharaoh composed hymns to his sun god. Then, as suddenly as it began, it ended. In 1336 BCE, Akhenaten vanished from history. No tomb, no body, no record of his death. His desert capital was abandoned so quickly that archaeologists still find half-eaten meals on ancient tables. What happened next was perhaps the most thorough act of revenge in human history. The priests returned with a vengeance. They restored the old gods, burned Akhenaten's city, and began the systematic erasure of his existence. His name was chiseled from every monument. His statues were smashed to powder. His golden death mask was melted down. Official records began referring to him only as the criminal of Akhenaten, or that enemy. The erasure was so complete that for over 3,000 years, Akhenaten remained lost to history. It wasn't until 1887 that archaeologists stumbled upon the ruins of his desert city and began piecing together the story of the pharaoh who dared to challenge eternity itself. Today, we're left with haunting questions. Was Akhenaten a visionary who glimpsed monotheism 1,000 years before Moses? A madman who nearly destroyed a civilization? Or something far more complex, a ruler who understood that to change the world, sometimes you must be willing to disappear from it entirely?